Developers, 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 developers. 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 Developers, developers, developers. Developers, 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 developers, developers. Developers, 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 developers.